Hi everybody, I'm Joey Paul and I'm an indie author and welcome back to my channel. I write young adult fiction across a variety of genres, and if you think that might interest you, then think about subscribing below. So I've talked before about my way of planning, or at least I've touched on it, but I thought that I would do a video today about how I approach ideas and then turning them into a plan. I'm going to split the two up because they can be dealt with very differently. So starting with approaching ideas. Number one, brainstorm. Some people call this the brain dump or thought dump, and the idea is about the same. Usually when I get an idea, it comes to me in fits and starts. I very rarely get a fully formed plot and characters and the like, so when I have a whisper of an idea, I'll write it down in a notes app. And then I'll let it sit while adding to it from time to time so that I have some idea of what makes this idea any good. This stage takes as long as it takes. To be honest, I've got ideas in my notes that I've had for a very long time. Sometimes I go back to them, sometimes I leave them to stew and grow and all of that. But when it comes to that time when I'll be thinking about a new project, I might go through my brainstorming file and pick bits and pieces here and there to try and work out if I have anything that will work. Number two, viability. Viability is, to me, whether or not the idea has enough legs and meat and all the other body parts. There is absolutely no point in me planning out a full novel or a series if I know that the idea is thin and reedy and won't stand up to the test of time. I don't want to waste time moving on to the planning and then drafting and get halfway through and realise that actually no, this idea should have died a death in the brainstorming phase. This is a crucial step to me because it's got to be something that I'm excited to write about, but also has enough plot and such to it that I can do something with it. Otherwise it can be left to rot or grow depending on the idea itself. Occasionally I'll go through my notes and I'll trim the dead weight, but other times I know that with enough time in there, it might turn into something I can use. Number three, characters, world, plot. I put this one as number three, but to be honest, it can be the first thing I think of. I recently finished a project that started as a dream and I had characters and the world, but no plot. Another one had a world but not characters and a very thin plot. So it's at this stage that after deciding the idea is viable, I'll start to really dig into it, work out whether there are pieces or another idea that might work for me. It's a lot to go into, but like with the viability, I see no point in planning, drafting something that just isn't going to work. I don't have the time or energy to put into something that isn't ready and won't be for a while. I want to be clear that I don't always know everything about the characters, the world, or the plot at this point. A lot of it is throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. So moving on to planning ideas. Number one, tying things together. This is part ideas phase and part planning. Usually when I've decided an idea is viable and I want to go somewhere with it, I'll take a little mini step and start to throw out ideas so that I know what works and what doesn't. I'm gathering up the loose threads of maybe several viable projects and trying to see if they fit, if they make a good knot, or if they'll stay as jumbled and are matching to the point where it'd be wrong to connect the two. Like with the Viral Detection trilogy, which, as I talked about in my current work in progress video, and I'll link that up in the cards, the idea started out simple, but as I was tying things together, I realised that it had the hallmarks of another idea that I'd been brewing for a while. So I was able to tie the two together, they matched, and it's been a great tool and helped me work out where to go from there. Number two, making my chapter plan. This is the part where I'll do some serious planning, or at least serious planning for me. If you've been here long, you know that I'm a planner in that I plan some, but I also pants or discovery write a lot too. I have to have some kind of idea of where my story is going, the headlights in the distance, as it were. So I'll sit down and I'll work out the beats I want to hit, the flow of the story, the twists if there are any, and the way I want to bring it all together at the end. Right now I'm working on a crime mystery series, and I'll admit that sometimes I don't know the killer / bad guy at this point. Sometimes I've tried to shoehorn one in, but it's almost never worked for me. So I make sure that things are easy and flowing, and I try not to stress about it too much. The chapter plan is my guideline, and what comes next sometimes helps with that. Number three, developing the characters / world. This is the part where those characters and the world are coming to life. I will make a character note card for every character, starting with the main one and leaning into the side characters. For example, if I'm working with a teen in contemporary times, I'll also make a note of who their family is, what the jobs their parents have, where they are in the age order for siblings and the like. It may not all be relevant to the story, but I don't want to miss something. I'll have them say one thing, not write it down, and contradict myself later on. With the world, I'll start by making the rules of that world. Usually when I'm writing urban fantasy, there's some psychic element, and I make sure I know the rules of that too. I make sure that if there's a magic system, I know everything I can about how it works. If there's a dystopian world, that I want to know, even if it's never relevant, the things that brought that state about. The list goes on and on, but I think you get the picture. When all that's done, then I will usually start drafting, and from there it's hit or miss as to whether it all goes along the path I thought it would. I'm a big believer in discovery writing, and while it might not work for everybody, it does for me, and that's okay. So there we go, that's basically how I approach ideas and planning. That's how I sit down and work from ideas phase to planning phase to drafting and onwards. As you know, as I've talked about before, I do a lot of my planning, my serious planning, when it comes to revision, but I do still have some kind of chapter plan when it comes to drafting, which has really helped me over the years. It keeps me on track, keeps me showing what I need to aim for, and all of that. So how do you approach ideas? Do you have a specific way you go about turning an idea into a plan? Let me know in the comments down below. So that's what I've got time for today. If you want to support my channel, you can comment, like, or subscribe. I post videos on Thursdays. You can find me all over social media, and my books are available everywhere, and you can also sign up for my newsletter. And don't forget to pre-order Invisible, which is the first in a young adult dystopian quartet. And if you do pre-order, don't forget to grab the swag, all the links for which are listed below. Thanks for watching, and remember to keep writing. Bye.